Okay, this is the harp section. We just brought it out of where we had it stored. Taking great care because it's with the lids on. It's like 76 kilograms. So now I'm going to undo the big screw down there, several of them, all the way around, so we can get the harp out of the frame. This is all being done under supervision by Freya. Hello, Freya. So once we get the harp out, we'll wrap it up and store it up here somewhere. Haven't quite figured out where yet. It's only a small house. Then I'll be able to take the frame downstairs and work on that. I'd actually forgotten what a pain in the backside it is to get the harp section out of the frame. These bits here, the dampers, lift up. You can just see it up here when you lift the damper off. So those dampers, you can see it down here. Little wire bit comes down here and in here. So you've got to undo all those little brass screws to enable this part of the damper be removed. And once you've done that, you can then take this whole assembly out here. You've actually got to pull a couple of these off where the screws are covered up. There's also screws that are already removed in the back. So you've got to take all those out. Then you can take the harp out of the frame once it's laying back on the floor. I'd forgotten that from 40 years ago. Well, here we go, a bit further on. I've just skinned the harp section. There's the old vinyl on the floor there. And there's the frame, and you can see all the filler I put in to fill up all the divots and cracks and chips and what have you 40 odd years ago. It's like all the way around. This thing had a really, really hard life before I got it. A lot of this fill has come off the wood with the glue. Obviously the bond between the glue and the filler was better than the bond between the filler and the wood. So I've got to go all the way around it again and basically do the same again and get all the old glue off. Acetone seems to be working to get the glue off pretty easily, actually. With that and the pull scraper. So there's a few days work here. Particularly over this end, you can see there's bits of stuff out of it everywhere along here. But that's what it was like 40 years ago, so I'll just redo it all again and we'll go from there. Had a gazillion staples in it, which I've had to pull out. There was a lot of staples. This here is a repair I did to that corner 40 years ago. It was so busted. So I glued everything up from memory, a long time ago now. I glued everything up, then I made the bracket, and the screws come through from the other side. And I tightened it and peened the ends of the threads over and filled the holes on the other side just to give that bit of extra strength. It's held up well. This thing hasn't been taken on stage or anything. It's only ever been in the house since I've got it. So it's had an easy life. I even had to replace back in the day some of these threaded inserts. They'd just all busted. The threads had been pulled out, or the insert itself had been pulled out. The only ones I could get at the time, don't forget, this was pre-internet days, were these little brass ones, but they're 6mm. The original ones, if I find one, like here, they're actually 5mm. So I'm humming and hawing about whether or not to try and pull these out and replace them with 5mm ones. I don't know what I'll do yet. I might just let it go. Only got to hold the lid on. And getting the harp out, the actual frame, the string section, was fairly tricky. I've got no recollection of doing it 40 years ago, but obviously I did because I've got pictures of this frame sitting on the bench being worked on. When I got it before, this section here, that was broken off. So I've had to glue it back on. I'm not sure if those screw holes were the originals or if I put them on. I can't remember. But anyway, it's all glued and repaired. I've noticed that these holes here, they use this big wood screw thing to hold the harp frame in place. And there's just, I've noticed the threads in those are looking a bit dodgy too. So I'm going to have to look at fixing those up before I put the harp back in. Because there's nowhere else to do, you can't relocate them. Yeah, so These holes here, one there and one there, and same on the other side, they hold the front panel that has all the controls in it, and they're just wood screws into the timber. And down the bottom here, it's quite thin because there's a recess on the other side. Go around here. There's a recess there for the latch assembly, so that bit there feels like it's only about 12mm thick. So yeah, I've got a couple of ideas, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Whether or not just fill these holes with wood and epoxy, then re-drill them, or maybe try and put an insert, something like this in, and use a metal thread, which would probably be the best actually, because I can bond them in with epoxy and they won't move. And that way the problem's gone away pretty much forever. But once it's done this time round, I doubt very much it'll come apart again. Maybe it will in the future, who knows. So, but to get the harp out, I had to take all the damper assembly out, and then the harp just doesn't lift up. You've got to sort of wriggle it this way a bit to clear this block of wood. And over on this side, there's part of the frame comes up here, and you can't just lift it out. You've got to sort of wriggle it, and it must weigh 55 kilos. So what I'm thinking of doing when we go to put it back together, because it's so difficult to move the thing around because of the weight, I'm actually thinking, I've got an engine crane, you see it's hiding in the corner there. I'm thinking of actually trying to sling the harp with the engine hoist, just to take the weight of it, so I can have it weight taken, then wriggle it around to get it into the frame. That's a thought in progress. We're moving along.